Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Well, this week I chose the movie, and I have this list of movies that I've just always wanted to see. Things that I used to see on the shelves at the video store where nothing more than the cover really piqued my interest. And I just thought I'd try to plow us through some of those this year because they're just nagging at the back of my head. And this one has been nagging at the back of my head because the video sleeve was so unique. On the shelf, it was like a zombie kind of coming out of the grave. It said, "The Dead Pit," and the zombie's eyes were two little green LED lights that if you pressed on a certain spot on the cover, they would light up and flash. Do you remember this at all?
No, but oh, the things we were impressed with in those days.
I know. Well, back in those days, LED lights weren't so ubiquitous either. I mean, like, they had like red ones and they had green ones, and I think that was it. And now LED lights are used for everything. But back then, they just had a very limited function. They were just those tiny little things. I guess, some little watch battery in there would keep that going for a while. Mm-hmm. But pretty gimmicky way to have your sleeve stand out on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because obviously this was made for the video market, from the very beginning. So it's got like two posters. It's got this one poster that's got like, that's the one you see on IMDb, which is a woman who looks like she's hanging like in torture position with a halter top and some white underwear on over like a pit of zombies who were coming out of the grave. And I never saw that one. I just saw the one with the zombie with the light up eyes. And that was enough for me. Apparently it wasn't enough for me to pick it up when I was a kid, unfortunately. This is the first time I've ever seen it. I assume the first time you've ever seen this also, huh?
Yeah, I don't have any memory of this. I don't remember that light up case. I don't recall having ever heard of this movie. But I don't know. I mean, I just finished watching it, and I was just looking at the IMDb tab on my computer, and it's from 1989, and the last movie that we did, the Snake Hand movie, Curse 2, was also from 1989, and they have a lot of things in common, but ultimately I liked that one a lot better, so I'm interested to see what you thought of this one.
Yeah, this one had a lot in common with some other movies we've seen too. I don't know why. I just kept getting flashes of Bad Dreams, which we did fairly recently.
Yes.
Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Again, takes place in a mental institution. The girl kind of seeing visions, and she's got this like history that she's got to unpack.
Yes, it was very much like that.
Yeah, and so like I meant to go back and look, and maybe I should right now. When was Bad Dreams released?
I don't remember, but yeah.
It couldn't have been too far off from this.
But that movie was derivative of
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Dream Warriors.
1988, the year before this.
There are just so many movies like this set in mental institutions, and of course it's the movie stereotypical mental institution with people bumbling around acting crazy. Like,
yeah.
I think that most people that struggle with their mental health don't act like that.
I mean, and could you imagine an institution where like it would be chaos if you just have like a big open room and everybody in there is just one step away from like killing somebody? Really, is what it's.
But it's typical. It's so typical, and the plot is typical, like you said. A pretty girl with a past, and a mysterious past, and zombies. I
wasn't expecting the zombies. Well, I mean, I kind of was expecting the zombies because I had seen the cover. But as it was going on, I thought, well, when are the zombies going to come into play? I guess that pit of dead is gonna come to life, and it didn't disappoint.
The zombie part of it is a lot like Ghoulies. We did Ghoulies, right? Did we do Ghoulies?
Yep. Yeah, we did.
In this case, it's a doctor, but like he's like a crazy doctor, and he's turning people into zombies for reasons that are completely unexplained, at least as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's just that he's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that frustrated me about this movie is, who is this guy? Why is he doing this? What is his end goal? What is the nature of these things? Like, because he was just doing like experiments on them or something, and then all of a sudden there's zombies everywhere, and
yeah. I mean, It's very nebulous. It's kind of weird because the way it starts out, and I by the way, one thing I did like about this movie, I thought it was shot really well.
Mm,
I thought like it had mood like I mean, well, if you're going for a particular look, which is that 80s dreamlike quality where everything is kind of extreme, right?
yeah.
I thought the angles were pretty extreme. The lighting was that very extreme lighting, and which is good because it kept the hospital interesting. There's lots of blues and reds coming in through windows with the shades drawn or the blinds, casting patterns over things, and the mood lighting was just great. And then, the camera was doing some interesting things like cantilevered angles and really interesting angles at times. I thought that, it didn't feel like a lot of the low budget movies that we see.
I guess. I don't know.
It had higher production value.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, there was some.
Really?
This is this guy's first movie. I didn't even write down his name. What is his name? The director?
Brett Leonard.
Brett Leonard. This was his first movie, and then he went on to do a couple of movies that I had seen. Virtuosity.
The Lawnmower Man. You remember that weird movie?
The
Oh,
Lawnmower Man,
God.
yeah. And The Lawnmower Man was good and ultimately isn't a very good movie, but it was really innovative. Like, it was making use of computer animation stuff that was brand new.
Yeah.
And at the time, it seemed really, really cool. So it's not that I don't think that this guy has some skill as a director. I do. I really liked all the outdoor stuff.
Hmm.
It was filmed, I don't know, in California somewhere on this, I'm just going to say campus. It's not a school campus, but like a campus with, multiple buildings and like a huge water tower and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of long shots outdoors and at night. And I thought for night shooting, it was good. And I get like, there are parts you mentioned that, they do some interesting things with lighting. There's a scene at the end, near the end, that looks like they ripped it kind of right out of either Thriller or that A Night of
Return of the Living Dead, like part 2.
Yeah, like Night of the Living Dead, but also what's the one where there's like I don't think there's zombies, there are demons in that movie theater.
Oh, demons?
Demons. But it's the classic thing where like, you've got these zombies or demons or whatever that are lit entirely with a very bright light from the back. So,
Right.
it's just these beams of light and them in silhouette, moving slowly and strangely. Nothing about it felt, and we really should, get more into the plot, but nothing about it felt fresh to me. Everything
No.
felt like a rehash of something else.
Well, that's true. I mean, but a lot of these movies do feel that way because they're all pretty derivative of each other.
Not good ones, though.
But you're right. There are these very specific things, I think, is what you're talking about. I mean, even the last bit with the water tower and the zombies kind of in that space was also bringing me back to a Return of the Living Dead 2, which also came out the year before this. You remember there was a kind of a climactic scene went down very similarly. I don't think it was a water tower. I think it was a sign and some similar type area where they were trying to set a trap for the zombies. In that case, it was electricity. Yeah. I just kept getting all these flashes to other movies while we were watching this. And
some of it is so blatant that it just has to be intentional. Like there is major Michael Myers stuff going on. Like the main villain is Michael Myers in this girl the whole movie. Like she looks out a window and he's just standing there staring at her menacingly, and then she looks away and she looks back and he's gone.
That's true.
She's constantly seeing him out windows, just standing there staring at her. Like he's just Michael Myers creeping on her for 3/4 of the movie. My other major complaint about this movie is that it is far too long.
Yeah.
Far too long. I swear to God, I started watching it last night and I was like, oh my God, is it still going? And then it finally got to the scene. I'm like, oh, finally, here's the big, the chase at the end. Thank God we're finally there. And I paused it and there was still 40 minutes left. It's like, what?
Yeah. Well, and that is partly because I think the scenes themselves go on very long. The whole credit sequence they're chewing the scenery through the whole thing. You got this extreme mood lighting. They're in this mental hospital. This guy walks in on a dude who's in solitary confinement and pulls a big pick out and I guess kind of lobotomizes him right through the eye,
Yes.
Drags him away over his shoulder, goes into some secret passageway in a closet somewhere, And then the dude, there was some other doctor who he had been briefly talking to who said
I
something like,
called them good doctor and bad doctor, even though neither one of them is really good. But that
yeah.
was the only way that there's good doctor and bad doctor, and they're the only two doctors in the movie.
I never figured out who Bad Doctor's name was, but
Colin something.
Good Doctor is Dr. Swan.
I can't cover up for you any longer, Colin. Whatever you're doing to them has to stop.
Are you going to stop me, Gerald?
I don't know you anymore.
You never did.
But he didn't even know exactly how far he was going, apparently. He was never that curious before. He just heard wind of it or something, because at this point, he decides to follow this guy because he sees like a blood trail or something on the floor.
Yeah.
And that leads him to the secret door, which leads him to this insane spiral staircase that looks like it goes 100 feet underground.
Uh-huh.
I kept thinking, where do you think they shot this? Was this in like a grain silo or something? Like, where would
I
they
don't know.
find it's a really tall spiral
It
staircase?
was probably one story worth of stairway that they just shot over and over again, making it look like it was super long. I don't know. Who knows?
It could be, but what was super long was the time. I mean, oh my God. Then he goes down the staircase and he's looking around, and then he goes into this, like, it looks like a dungeon from an old Vincent Price movie.
Yeah, and there's like there's like skulls on the floor, and that patient that the guy lobotomized or whatever is on a table, and he's got symbols carved into his torso. I don't have any idea what that's about at all.
That didn't pay off, did it? What the hell?
No. And then his head is open, like his skull has been surgically cut into and spread apart, and his brain is exposed. And there's a ton of bodies, and Good Doctor's like, my God, man, you're a doctor. You're supposed to be saving lives. And Bad Doctor says, I've done life. Now I'm doing death.
I loved this exchange. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
But I was into it at that point. I'm like, all right, we got heavy, cheesy drama. You know, this is going to be a little campy. You know, it's pretty campy. The doctor's, and so then, like, he approaches him, and then for some reason, Good Doctor has a gun?
Yeah.
What, does he just pack a gun with him all the time in this hospital?
I guess.
But he whips his gun out, and the guy says, you can't kill me. And he shoots him in the middle of the head, right in the forehead, and apparently does kill him. And then runs upstairs, nails everything up, plasters over the doorway. And then we get this like ridiculously drawn title with cackling over it, The Dead Pit.
I know, that was so weird.
I wondered if that was just like a later addition or something.
Well, that weird, I mean, the laughter comes in later, like the zombies or whatever they are. I don't know what they are. He kills people and they come back kind of as laughing zombies.
Oh, they're always cackling.
There's also eventually, God, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but eventually there's like hundreds of them. Where did they all come from?
I know. They all came from the dead pit, Craig.
Oh, the
This
dead
guy-
pit. Yeah, the dead pit at the bottom of the spiral stairway.
You just imagine how long this young doctor must have worked at this hospital to disappear hundreds of people without raising any alarm,
Whatever.
burying them in this pit. The pit's full of bodies.
Yeah, it's full of bodies. And now it's 20 years later, and Good Doctor still works there. We don't find that out for a second, but he does. And I also feel like he says something later in the movie when he, at the like super late in the movie, he dumps some exposition that doesn't really tell us anything that we didn't already know.
Yeah.
And really doesn't explain anything.
Yeah.
He starts it by saying something like, man, I haven't thought about that for 20 years. I'm like, bro, it just happened 20 years ago. You shot a guy in the head. He was like conducting evil experiments in the basement, and you just haven't thought about it in 20 years?
He put it out of his mind immediately afterwards. This guy is great at compartmentalization. Yeah, this guy is an avoidant to a T.
He put it behind him and was done with it.
Life goes on.
Okay, so anyway, so new women. At first I thought this was just a women's hospital, but it's not. There's just men and women in the same ward, all of them insane, apparently. This young, gorgeous, soap opera looking woman gets admitted, but she has amnesia, so her name is Jane Doe.
Yeah.
she says, I don't remember, she says it 150 times in the movie, but she tells us that she didn't lose her memory. It was taken from her. Somebody took it.
Yeah. Somebody took it from her, then she gets explicit later about how she was on an operating table and they did something to pull her memories out.
I swear to God, she says it 20 times.
Ugh.
And she'll say things like, remember how I told you that I believe that I don't have amnesia, but that somebody took my memories? Remember that? How I told you that 5 or 6 times before?
Just to be sure. This is Cheryl Lawson, and this was her first big role. And she did a few things after this. She was in Virtuosity. I don't think she was a big character in Virtuosity. She's in a couple other movies after this, but didn't really do much. But as a stunt woman, she did quite a bit during the 90s and early 2000s.
She's very pretty. She is not a very good actress.
No, she's probably better as a stunt woman.
Yeah, the writing isn't great, and her character is kind of, I don't know, whatever. I mean, I guess she's the heroine or whatever, but she's not particularly likable. Like, I'm not really rooting for anybody in this. I don't really care.
Wow.
But she's basically just kind of hysterical throughout most of the movie, and it gets old. Like, ugh, God, calm down.
Yeah. I mean, she cries a lot. She'll burst into tears and get a little hysterical on a whim.
And then is there a supernatural earthquake? Does Jane have something to do with the earthquake? Like,
I think she
does
did.
her breakthrough like cause an earthquake or something?
I think what we're led to believe is that this woman coincidentally got assigned to this hospital where she has this past connection to, and she also has some kind of psychic ability that's latent, and that awakens it when she comes in and she triggers the earthquake. Now, that is really just my supposition. There's nothing that ever explains that.
Right.
They discuss the earthquake, but the Dr. Swan kind of dismisses the idea of what caused it because he's like, well, the earthquake's not important because that's physical and we're talking about supernatural occurrences. But it broke the seal on something. Some seal somewhere. It broke. And that's the issue.
And the boarded up door opens and glows green. It's always, the dead pit is always glowing green from this point.
And I like that. It's very thriller.
I think during the earthquake or immediately after, like, she's on the ward floor, like in the common area, and she's freaking out, and she's like, they need help! The people in the cellar need help! Let them out!
And I expected, she says this to Dr. Swan, and I expected Dr. Swan to, like, have a visceral reaction to this, but he doesn't at all.
He hasn't thought about it in 20 years.
Yeah, I guess so. It's going to take a lot for him to think about this. Put these connections back together.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but then it becomes, like I said, I just feel like this is so reminiscent of Bad Dreams. She's walking around. He takes her in. He starts therapy or whatever with her in his office to try to help with her memory. She tells him this. He suggests hypnotherapy, who can draw out some memories that she's suppressed. Asks her to start walking around. And as she walks around the grounds, in the foreground, we see this demonic-looking hand.
Yes,
and
it's like got sharp fingernails. But we've already seen Evil Dead Bad Doctor is like Michael Myers in Around. Like,
from here on out. Yeah, she sees him everywhere. Yeah.
But yes, he does. He has, I don't know, demon hands, I guess, sharp fingernails.
Who knows why?
Yeah, I don't know why, and I don't remember when it happens, but at some point, Evil Dead Bad Doctor, like, wants his lobotomy tool, and so he goes in and he gets it, and then I feel like he puts on scrubs and stuff, so he looks like a doctor, but then he puts latex gloves on his hands, and the claws do not poke through the latex.
Yes.
You just see them up there. And then he puts a ring on over the latex glove. And I did not know what was happening, but it was hilarious.
Why did he do all that? I thought the ring would be significant.
It comes back at the end, but I don't think we ever know anything about it. Like, spoiler alert, she wins. She, the guy dies or whatever. And then she takes the ring and puts it on herself.
Oh, right.
We have no idea. I have no idea what this...
I guess
we're never told what this ring is, I guess. Oh, God, I don't know.
That must be the thing that keeps him alive. Why he can't die.
God, who knows?
Well, we can just go with it.
From this point on, I don't know, like it's just a bunch of business that drags on for too long. We meet
Yeah.
a couple of other characters. There's Chris, who's this hot, normal guy that doesn't really belong in the mental institution, but he likes to blow things up. I guess the last time he blew something up, something bad happened, and his lawyer told him to like plead insanity to get a lesser, like he's like, so I just have 6 months in here and then I get out. And
Yeah.
like he's just supposed to be a normal.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, he's the normal guy in there. Then there's this nurse Kiker, who's a total bitch. She's
Yeah.
the head nurse. She's the nurse Ratchet of the whole thing.
There's mean nurse and there's nice nurse.
Yeah, and nice nurse, which is distractingly gorgeous.
She's very
Nurse
pretty.
Robbins. Yeah, she looked like she could have been Denise Richards' sister.
She's really pretty. The main girl, I don't know if I said this before, but she's not a great actress, but she is really pretty. It's also funny that, you know, she's checked in here, but for a good 30 minutes or so, she is running around in high-cut 80s panties and a crop top that is so bulky that if you were only 4 foot tall and you looked up, you would be looking directly at her breasts.
Yeah.
Because she has huge boobs and this big bulky thing. And it looks like she's like in Flashdance or something, but even more skimpy. And she just runs around in it. As I said before, this is not a women's ward. This is like a mixed ward full of people, with one orderly and one nurse on duty all the time. But she just runs around, like, just casually is talking to people. Like, what? Why? What is
I know,
put
no
on
bra.
some sweatpants?
No, just wear your panties. This is the 80s and it's a horror movie.
I get it, but it's stupid.
It was fantastic.
She looks like she's going to a model shoot.
Well, it's true. I read something in the trivia that stated that was not the original intent, but I cannot believe that one bit.
I don't believe that story. I read that story too. It said something like she felt like the hospital gown made her look too bulky, so she cut it short. Bullshit. That shirt was made like that. That was not a hospital gown.
Yeah. It's 100% accurate.
Yeah. If you're a straight dude, she looks amazing. Like she looks good. I get the appeal, but it's just dumb. Like you're in the hospital.
I love this because, we got Chris, who's going to be like her little boyfriend for a little while. We got Bert the Worrier. We get more visions. We get this crazy nun gal who, is outside. She's always on her knees praying and ranting on. Crazy religious gal. And Jane being tormented. And, there's just, like you said, there's a bunch of business. Then there's another dream sequence, which I absolutely loved, which was Kiker's cackling torture method.
Yeah, I liked that too, but what is happening? Like... Why is she having these? I really enjoyed this scene. It was maybe one of my favorite scenes, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Of course not.
Or it doesn't seem to.
No, it's just her wakes up or appears to wake up, wander around the hallways, gets caught by Dr. Kiker, gets strapped up in the showers, I guess, to some overhead hanging restraints. And Dr. Kiker starts hosing her down straight under her white t-shirt, which has the intended effect. And then the blast of the hose just tears her shirt right off.
Uh-huh.
And then it moves up to her face. And, until her skin peels off from where it's hitting her in the cheek. And then she wakes up. We get the obligatory nice long breast shots that we need for a movie like this from the 80s. And I was entertained.
Yeah, and she's beautiful. She has a beautiful body. She looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's just so on the nose. I was like,
yes,
white halter top. Okay, here's where we're going with that.
Getting sprayed in the face. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. And then there's like little bits of exposition or drops, like somebody just happens to casually mention that everybody who's in isolation, which is in a different building, I think it's the building with the death pit or whatever it's called, and the evil doctor is looking for her, and he kills the nice nurse, and he carries her body to the isolation building.
He's got these red eyes that are glowing.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
That's probably why you were thinking of Ghoulies a bit too, I bet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and he's still got the hole in his head.
Yes.
From where he got shot. And he looks pretty ghoulish. And, like, after Nice Nurse gets killed, Chris, the normal guy who shouldn't be in a mental institution, is worried about her. And Jane just very casually says to him, yeah, she won't be back. And he's like, what? And she's like, what? Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And then they don't talk about it anymore until later.
That's right.
And then she has more hypnotherapy, and the doctor brings out a memory of her when she's a little girl, and he asks her name, and she says her name is Sarah, and he asks about her mom and her dad, and she says, like, I'm not supposed to talk about daddy. And then in the memory that she's in, her mom, like, comes and grabs her and it's like, come on, we gotta go, we gotta run, we gotta go somewhere safe or something. And then she freaks out and the doctor shakes her out of it. And then this scene was so funny to me because he surmises something that's entirely not true. He's like, yeah, I think you had some trauma. And she's like, well, tell me. He's like, no, I don't usually tell people till later. And she's like, tell me now. And he's like, okay, well, I think maybe your mom, like, took you from your dad and you've got some...
Like, where does he coming up with this, right?
Yeah, like, he makes it sound like the mother was kidnapping her. It's so weird.
It is weird. But as soon as this was over, I was like, okay, now I get it. Now we know who daddy is. You know, like...
I mean, it crossed my mind, but I just didn't even care. I'm like, oh, God, who cares?
You didn't want to solve... You were not anxious to solve the mystery of this woman's strange connection to this place?
She also... I think she says to him... there's such great lines in this movie. She's like, I have a terrible sense of danger here.
Oh, my God.
And then Bud, who was literally introduced by Chris as being twitchy but harmless, attacks an orderly for no reason. It's like, you're all going down.
Yeah, this place is going down.
I don't know. I think what they are trying to suggest is that whatever is happening here is having an adverse effect on the patients.
But, like, they can sense it.
Riling them up.
Yeah.
He's not a dangerous person. It's only because of the presence of evil Dr. Michael Myers, who's still lurking around. He goes into that guy, Bud's padded cell, and we don't see what happens except for then, like, an orderly sees Bud, like, escaping. And there's a lot of these scenes, not a lot, I would say 3 or 4 of these scenes from this point forward, where it's hearing laughter or hearing something, and then you, like, Bud or dead nice nurse will just, like, walk across frame really fast, or, like, cross a hallway, or come out of a door and go into another door like they're going really fast. And it appears that, you know, they are zombies or they're possessed or whatever, and, you know, Bud leads the orderly into the clock tower to his death, and and that happens several times. At some point, nice nurse does that to mean nurse, lures her in with creepy laughter, and then kills her.
Yeah, I think that, you know, this is what makes the movie rather long, is these sequences are really, really drawn out. And I think it loses some of the tension. They're shot pretty well. And there are moments where, you know, the camera will pan across, and Jimmy was the name of the orderly, is like wandering around looking for this guy he's chasing. And then as the camera pans by, you can see that he's actually in the foreground around the corner. But then as Jimmy gets there, then he's gone again. I don't know. I guess it's just a little tough to sustain. You know, these shots sound right, but when they're kind of put in sequence and just somebody who really doesn't know exactly what they're doing to make really good jump scares or whatever, it just seems very pedestrian. You know, it just feels like, okay, I'm going to wait for Jimmy to find what he needs to find, or for this guy to spring up behind him and kill him, which he does. But Jimmy finds Bert.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Bert. It must be Bud, something like that.
I don't know, whatever.
Strapped to a chair with a drill, like it's almost like a dentist drill or something, just stuck in his eye, just going. And that's what freaks him out. And then he runs downstairs. He sees the hot nurse's body there as well. Bad doctor comes up behind him and strangles him. And so now Jimmy's out for the count. And now we're getting a lot of the bodies piling up in this building that nobody can go into because it's boarded up. But yet everybody can go into because you just need to walk around the boards to get in.
And also only like 3 or 4 people work in this entire ward.
Yeah.
So, like, they're just kind of getting picked off.
It's taken out everybody.
But then also then we get a little bit into Freddy Krueger territory where Bad Doctor is taunting Jane, and he quips. Like,
yeah.
That was weird. She looks down and he's, standing down below her window as Mike Myers will, but he's like, I'm the head surgeon here. And then he throws a head at her.
Yeah.
And there's another one later where he eventually cuts out Good Doctor's brain, and then he sees Jane again. He's like, Dr. So-and-so wanted to give you a piece of his mind, and throws the brain at her. Like, really?
Why not? I thought it was fun. But it does establish that we're not necessarily, I think it's trying to anyway establish that we can't really trust what's real and what's not, because that turns out to be a dream for her. She wakes up.
Which one? The head?
The head one, yeah.
I didn't realize.
As soon as she screams and turns away, that she suddenly wakes up and there's a nurse there. She's like, yeah, we gave you that sedative because you were freaking out. You must have had a bad dream. And we're only 45 minutes into the movie by this point. And
I know. We're almost to the part where I thought it was surely almost over.
Yeah.
She tells Good Doctor that Bad Doctor is there. She's like, the surgeon who took my memories is here. And then there's more hypnotherapy and I don't know, God.
Well, the doctor it's so funny that this whole deal about when she in the hallway was like, the people in the basement, they need to be let out. They need to be let out. And Doctor, that doesn't stir anything up in Dr. Swan's memory. But during her hypnotherapy, she goes back to her flashback and she has some vision on how she's laying on a table. She can't see the wall. She had to walk to the park from the hospital. And the surgeon doesn't want her to be afraid. She goes, he smells like death, like formaldehyde. And suddenly, Dr. Swan is like, whoa, formaldehyde? What? Describe this guy.
I saw formaldehyde in the opening scene.
Yeah. A pit full of dead bodies in the cellar is not going to spur his memory, but formaldehyde left a stronger impression on him. Anyway, everything's now coming to head. Like, Jane is possessed now. Like, she's briefly possessed by the bad doctor and says some things to the Dr. Swan.
Yeah, I mean, she is. Like, she's possessed by him. She talks to him. I don't remember what she says. Something ominous. And then she comes back to herself and he's like, get out, get out. And he kicks her out and doesn't tell her why. And he starts drinking whiskey out of the bottom drawer of his desk and calls the nurse and is like, give that girl double her sedatives and put her on Thorazine. Like, he just wants to put her into a coma.
Right. Yep.
But she goes to Chris. Yeah, she goes to Chris and she's like, I need your help. And he's like, okay, tongue your meds. And she does. And they sneak out together. And just as they're about to escape, she gets out, but the orderly nabs Chris, so she has to get away by herself. And she goes to the clock tower, and nice nurse lures her. She doesn't realize that nice nurse is dead. Dead nice nurse lures her to the top, and bad doctor is lurking around, and bad doctor confronts her, and she runs. And there's a slow chase, he's chasing her through the death pit and chasing her upstairs and stuff.
So
and I thought,
long.
oh, thank God this is it. Thank God this is it. The main villain is chasing the main girl, and that's when I paused it, and there's still 40 minutes left.
Yep.
It's like there's still a whole other movie left.
Oh, it's so sad because he catches up with her and she just faints, I guess.
No.
Because you're right, there's still a half an hour to go, because I checked the time at exactly the same moment as you did. She's tied up to a table in the dungeon, and this is when things get real. The living dead are unleashed.
Yes.
Suddenly, the zombies are coming out of the pit, and the doctor is standing there over them, cackling evilly. And I was like, why? Why now? Why now are the evil dead coming to life?
Right. They all come up that spiral staircase, and somehow Chris escapes and finds her and cuts her loose or whatever. And then the zombies, we see a couple of zombies. Well, actually, it's like a whole horde of zombies approach these cops who are totally oblivious. They're just having a conversation in the foreground where this whole mass of zombies are creeping up behind them.
About donuts.
And they attack the cops and rip their heads open and eat their brains, because I guess that's what zombies do. If you are an evil doctor who is, I don't know, lobotomizing people, carving weird symbols into their chest, doing some kind of weird ceremony in the basement of some weird building, you make zombies and they crave brains, I guess. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's just a mishmash, right? Of just a whole bunch of ideas that are just thrown in here. But now it becomes a zombie movie.
Uh-huh.
It moves from sort of pseudo Freddy Krueger to full-on thriller-style zombie movie. And I was like, sure, why not? I actually thought this was the more interesting part of the whole movie, to be fair. Because there's no mystery, the kind of mystery or whatever in the beginning was pretty lame. But this, we actually got some kills and some pretty decent practical effects. I was kind of impressed, actually.
Some of the practical effects are fun. Some of them look not good. There's a part, I don't know, I don't remember who it is. It may be Bad Doctor. Somebody dies and their head, kind of shrinks and then...
That's later,
it just it looks like I'm sure
deflated.
it is exactly. It's a balloon deflating or some kind of bladder deflating, but I didn't care for it. Some of it looks okay. I actually liked the brain eating. The brains didn't look real, but they looked fun. It looked like a Jell-O mold.
Oh, the zombies would
brain or something.
Pull the brain out whole and then hold it up like a trophy and go wandering off. Are they collecting these? Are they going to have a big brain party later or something like that? They weren't chowing into them right away. Or I think they just had one brain that they they had to keep reusing.
Probably. Evil Dead Nice Nurse kills Mean Nurse, which was fine because she was a real bitch anyway.
Yeah.
It's just the way that she was written. Everything she had to say was nasty. Every line that she had was just nasty. What's wrong with you? And then Chris and Jane run to cars they're gonna get away.
Yes.
But the hoods of all the cars are up and he's like,
Damn, the distributor's gone. For dead people, they sure are smart.
so we are to believe that these zombies have disabled all of the cars by pulling out the alternators.
I loved that line. Once I heard that line, I thought, yeah, this movie clearly doesn't take itself seriously. Well, they're not particularly fast zombies, but just like in all these zombie movies, regardless, they can get these people somehow. And a stupid Jane, as she's running away from people, keeps running into buildings instead of running down the street and getting help.
Yes, and they're in the hospital and on the ward, and at this point, and you get the thriller scene with the light behind the zombies and whatnot, and then they're in the hospital again, and in my notes I have, where did all the other patients go?
Right.
This ward was full of people.
Full of potential victims, too. I don't know.
Now it is abandoned.
Yeah. Abandoned and dark. But the crazy nun gal pops in out of nowhere and tosses some holy water onto a zombie and had a cool melting effect. I really liked that bit.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Fine.
Yeah. So they're like, oh my God, what's this? And then the nun, because this is what happens in these movies too, and it happened in Bad Dreams too. It was like the black girl in Bad Dreams. She just knows exactly what to do to fix this whole thing.
Holy water kills the beast.
Where can we get more of this holy water, sister?
Any water's holy if it's blessed. Can holy water stop what's happening here? Stop him?
The place where the beast rises must be washed clean. The desecrated grounds must be made holy.
And so, I gotta give him credit for this. They figure out that holy water is the answer, and Chris turns to her and is like, hey, how do you make holy water anyway? Can you just bless it? She's like, well, I do the blessing, but God's the one who consecrates it. And he looks and he goes, could you just bless that whole water tower over there?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I loved it. I've never seen that before, and I don't know why not, because it is brilliant. I mean, just make the whole water supply holy water.
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty funny.
This is going down in my survival book for the zombie apocalypse. So he's got his idea because he's the guy who's into blowing things up. He thinks if he can go to the water tower and blow it up and tip it over, it's just going to make water go everywhere, especially into that building, which is conveniently placed right at the foot of the water tower.
Yes.
So he wants to make a bomb. And meanwhile, Dr. Swan is going kind of crazy himself, and he just decides he's going to go take care of Evil Doctor once and for all. And so he runs down to take care of Evil Doctor and ends up strapped to the table, and he gets it. He's being tortured.
Yeah, that was, I kind of liked that scene too, not even because it looked particularly great, but just because it was kind of fun and sadistic.
Yeah.
Evil Doctor gets Good Doctor on the table, and then the next time we see him, his head is shaved. So I'm glad that they took the time to shave his head.
I didn't think of that.
And his skull is opened up and his brain is exposed. And then the Evil Doctor starts poking it with needles, and Good Doctor is laughing like it tickles.
Oh, then he'll be sad. Then he'll be laughing again. I thought that was a particularly.
I thought that was kind of hilarious.
It was funny, and it was also kind of sick, you know? I dug it.
It was sick.
By the time he was done, he had all these needles poking out of there. And by the way, the actor who plays Good Doctor, Jeremy Slate, is just a screen and television veteran. He was all over TV in the golden age of television. I recognized him 100%. And he did a very, very long stint on General Hospital as well. I think he was in was it General Hospital or maybe it was One Life to Live? Yeah.
I don't know, but I can see that. I mean, he seemed like he knew how to work in front of a camera.
He was good in this, honestly.
He didn't have a lot to do, but he did well with what he had.
That was probably my favorite bit.
Yeah, I liked that part. I don't know. I really liked the wet t-shirt dream, but we've got... I
expect that coming out of me more than coming out of you, Craig. I'm impressed.
It wasn't for the boobs. I just thought it was a fun shot. But anyway... Jane and Chris are talking, about what they're going to do or whatever, or they're having a little heart-to-heart or something. And I think I heard it right. I'm pretty sure he said, "Come on, we've got a water balloon to drop on these assholes." Did he say that?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, God, I couldn't believe it. I didn't take the time to rewind it because I was watching the second half of this right before we got on. I didn't know if I would have time, but I was pretty sure he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the nun chants and looks at the water tower, so I guess she's making it holy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if this lady is really a nun or if she's just a patient who thinks she's a nun. I don't even know.
She's whatever she has to be to make it work, apparently.
Yeah.
Cheryl's being chased by the evil doctor, eventually running back into the building like an idiot. And then there's that moment where she ends up downstairs and finds Dr. Swan. And the evil doctor is there. And she looks up at him and goes, "Daddy?"
Yeah, we get more of that flashback. She's running away and she she falls and she reaches up her hand and it's him. Meanwhile, Chris is at the top of the water tower setting a bomb.
Yep, as the zombies are climbing up after him.
And he fights one off. He lights the fuse on the bomb. Then a zombie attacks him, and he fights the zombie, and he throws the zombie off the water tower, and he has a little celebration, and then the bomb goes off and blows the whole thing up. And I presume it blew him up, too.
It must have.
Right?
We don't see him after this.
No. But it was just pretty funny. He has this moment, and, he's got his hands up in the air. He's jumping up and I did it. Boom. And the water tower falls, and it floods the dead pit. It looked to me like they did this with miniatures. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it looks very obvious miniature work.
With all the water flowing out of the windows and stuff.
Yeah.
And I also did not understand this part because the water floods. At this point, the zombies are not in the dead pit.
Correct.
But the water falls into it, and evil doctor just starts to disintegrate.
Yeah. Well,
and the disintegration looks pretty good. It's only when they used the air bladder to shrink his head that I thought it didn't look very good. But I guess we're just to presume that the same thing happened to all of the other hundreds of zombies that were just out and around.
I think so, because the nun almost kind of says once we flood the consecrated ground or the dead pit or whatever with the holy water, it's gonna solve everything. So I think it's weird just to assume that they all drop dead just like the doctor did.
Okay.
And it was a cool effect. You're right. I actually enjoyed that. They lingered on that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I thought, this movie had more production value than I expected. And I think a lot of money went into some of these special effects that they lingered on a lot. Aside from that, it's just people in places, so that's not
yeah,
it's going to be much more impressiveness.
Well, and then it ends, it comes in a close shot on Jane, and she finds, I guess, in the pool of mushy goo that was her dad, she finds his ring, and she puts it on, and she's kneeling, sitting on her feet, and her face is kind of tilted down, and her eyes are closed. And I'm like, she's obviously going to open her eyes, and they're going to be glowing, and that's exactly what happens.
Yep.
And that's the end. I did not care for this movie. There are things that I can appreciate it. There are brief scenes that I enjoyed. I enjoyed some of the special effects, but I didn't care for it because unlike The Bite, which I felt like you didn't like, I felt like this story was nonsensical. It felt lazy. It just felt like, let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Whereas in The Bite, at least I had an emotional investment in the characters. I didn't think that they were smart, but I liked them and I cared about them. And in this, I was like, oh my God, just who cares? Just
Yeah.
whatever's going to happen, just happen already.
Fair enough. I mean, this movie was very pedestrian as far as these things go. It's just a mishmash of other films, some better, some just as bad. And, it kind of goes through the motions and it doesn't really go I mean, it does go a couple places I wasn't expecting, but it wasn't like groundbreaking amazing. It's just like, oh, now it's a zombie movie. Okay. I like the fact that they got the special effects were kind of fun. I don't know. To me, it was just kind of I didn't dislike it. I didn't particularly like it. I just thought, oh, this is another one of those movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad Dreams was a better version of this kind of movie because it had compelling characters and it had a twist at the end. It had an actual mystery and it was just kind of altogether better.
I think that this would be something that would be perfectly fine to put on in the background. Like,
right.
If you're doing something else. I mean, there are some good visuals and it's hokey and silly, and I mean it can be kind of amusing in that way, but to sit down and watch it for the full whatever the runtime is, which feels even longer than it actually is, was tedious. It felt like work. Like I don't like for the podcast to feel like work. You know what I mean? Like this felt like a chore that I had to do, not something that I wanted to do. And if I had put it on for myself, I would have turned it off probably 15, 20 minutes in.
I have a confession that after the first 45 minutes, I put it at 1.5 speed, and it was much more watchable at that point. In that way,
yeah, I imagine.
Do you ever do that? I do that more often than
I don't. I've never done it with a movie. I guess I've never tried. I do it with audiobooks all the time, 1.5 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
I currently am listening to our next book club book, Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, at 1.5 speed. And we haven't talked to our book club. Everybody's been busy for the holidays, so it's been a while since we've talked to them, but I'm looking forward to talking to them next week. And listeners, if you would ever be interested in being a part of that or the rest of our Patreon community, where you can find like mini-sodes and some behind-the-scenes insight, Todd and I recently got together and posted some pictures of that on the Patreon. You too can be privy to that for just $5 a month.
That's right. It's a good time.
What's the website, Todd?
The website is chainsawhorror.com. Patreon website is patreon.com/chainsawpodcast. Well, thank you, Craig, for doing my work for me at the very end here. Really appreciate it.
I saw the opportunity and I took it.
That's perfect. Well, I have very little left to add to that. Until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With 2 guys and a chainsaw.